today in this room and on Zoom. The rain has held off a little bit, so it's a little chilly here in Sacramento, but we're able to come together today, and I'm grateful for that. I'm Brandy Bunifay, and I'm honored to serve as the platform assistant today. I wanted to start us today just letting you know kind of where my flow is going today. Is I really felt impressed about the daily word. So I got this book, 100 Years of the Daily Word, for my birthday this year. And it is filled with daily word messages from the last 100 years. And I wanted to start us today by reading the very first daily word message, which is from July 1st, 1924. It says, God in me is my light and my understanding. God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, hath shined in our hearts, to give the light of knowledge. The earth shall be full of the knowledge of Jehovah. And then from Christian Healing by Charles Fillmore, the truth that God is the Father of men does away with the oft-proclaimed presumption that it's impossible for the finite to understand the infinite. Then it goes on to say, in order to have spiritual understanding, man must first realize that he has capacity for it. When one acknowledges that it is natural and right for man to have full knowledge of the infinite, he is but confirming his own ability to enjoy infinite understanding. Man is the manifestation of God within, and in his likeness is all-wise and all-knowing. To believe in the real presence of God as divine mind in you is to identify yourself with all light and knowledge. Man is primarily mind and is necessarily unlimited mentality. He takes his God-given dominion and power first through consciousness and consequently must have full possession of all truth. Begin today to rise out of the belief that by nature you are limited in understanding. Never think or say that anything is too difficult for you to comprehend. Think at all times of man as capable of knowing all truth. Learn to rely upon the light of God within to make clear whatever you wish to know. I thought that was beautiful. Begin today, it says. It doesn't matter what we've done in the past, what our thoughts have been. Every day is a new day and a new opportunity to live the truth that we know. There's no one new in the room today, so I'm going to skip that part. But if you're new on Zoom, the most important thing to know is that you can go to our website, capitalcityunity.org, and get more information about us. There's a link there for past messages on YouTube, and there's a link to our email address so you can sign up to get our weekly emails. So go to that website. I wanted to let you know what our flow today is going to be. Our opening hymn is going to be number 6, Morning Has Broken. Our meditation hymn will be number 145, Sweep Over My Soul. And we're going to follow the lesson with number 165, God is Love. So let's stand if you're able to, and we'll sing song 6, Morning Has Broken. So we'll move into today's daily word, which is energetic. The limitless energy of spirit flows through me. I smile as I watch children at play. Their boundless energy seems so natural, so effortless. When I want to reclaim the same zeal and enthusiasm for myself, I remember these divine gifts are already within me. Centered in this awareness, I feel renewed vitality. As I take care of my family, move through my workday, enjoy time with dear ones, or volunteer in my community, I engage it all with enthusiasm and feel my energy build. If my enthusiasm falters, I don't despair. Instead, I pause for a moment to feel the quickening energy of spirit, the divine life and strength that are flowing through me. As I am revitalized, the world feels new. I shimmer with energy and go about doing all I feel called to do. You repeat that. I shimmer with energy and go about doing all I feel called to do. And from Colossians 1, verse 11, may you be made strong with all the strength that comes from his glorious power. Dear God, thank you for receiving the prayer requests we place in the prayer box and those we hold in our hearts, and bless all of us as we follow our way shower Jesus. Grant us zeal for life and teach us how to live. Amen. Now I invite you to participate in our weekly affirmations. I'll say them first and then we'll repeat them together. There is only one presence, one power, and one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Together. There is only one presence, one power, and one love active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. There is only one presence, one power, and one love active in your life, God the good, omnipotent. Let's say this together for those that we hold in our hearts. There is only one presence, one power, and one love active in your life, God the good, omnipotent. And for this ministry, there is only one presence, one power, one love active in this ministry, God the good, omnipotent. Let's say this together. There is only one presence, one power, and one love active in this ministry, God the good, omnipotent. And now as we draw back, maybe get the 35,000-foot view of the world today, we see a lot of space for God to work. And for the world today, we say there is only one presence, one power, one love active in the world today, God the good, omnipotent. Let's say this together. There is only one presence, one power, one love active in the world today, God the good, omnipotent. Thank you. Announcements. We'll be here next Sunday. Claudia will be speaking to us as Reverend Carolyn takes this month off, and Suzanne will be her platform assistant, so that'll be a great service. And then I have some books I wanted to share. First off, the Daily Word is at the back table, so if you don't have it yet, it's back there for January and February. And then I wanted to share again, if you haven't read it yet, Reverend Phil's book, Putting It All Together. This is a great book about the different religions of the world and how at their heart they're teaching the same things. And I think that when we look at some of the conflicts in the world today, if more people knew this, I think that we could eliminate some of those tensions. And then finally, The Day You Begin. This is a book about courage, about walking into new spaces and being maybe the only person that looks like you. I think we can all use a little courage in our lives. That's actually coincidentally the theme of the guided journal I'm doing this month is on courage and taking those steps out into the world, secure in who you are. That's a beautiful thing. So this is a great book to share with the children in your life or yourself. Okay, we're going to move into our time of meditation by singing Song 145, Sweep Over My Soul. Sweep over my soul. Come, gracious Spirit, sweep over my soul. I invite you to participate in this time of meditation by closing your eyes if you wish, taking a big deep breath, and letting it out. And another big deep breath, and let it out. Take a third deep breath, and let it out. As you continue to breathe, please relax. There's nowhere else you need to be right now. Be here in this room with us now. Let your feet be flat on the floor, your hands easy in your lap. Take some more deep breaths and let them out. Let each part of your body relax and melt into a restful feeling. We are in a state of quiet receptivity. Gently move your attention to an awareness of God's presence all around you and in you. Feel the joy of knowing that you are one with God. I want to begin this time together by sharing a daily word message from earlier this month. As a spiritual being, my true home is the heart of God. As a spiritual being, my true home is the heart of God. There may have been times I've wondered where I belonged. I may have questioned whether I was in the right place, relationship, or career. Perhaps my inner knowing nudged me to places and situations where I found greater belonging and fulfillment. That same inner knowing shows me where I belong at times I drift away from my awareness of God. When I let the busyness of life keep me from my spiritual practices, I may feel as though I have lost my belonging. I refocus my attention on God and immerse myself in the serenity of prayer. I refocus my attention on God and immerse myself in the serenity of prayer. As I do, I feel my belonging once again. I put God first and find my home in the heart of God. As a spiritual being, my true home is in the heart of God. Let's take a moment to center ourselves in the heart of God. In a time of sacred silence, we pray, knowing that prayer changes things. Prayer changes us. Entering the secret place of the Most High, we are aware of our oneness with Source, with all humankind, and with all creation. Here we know that with each breath, each thought, each word, we contribute love, joy, kindness, and compassion to the collective consciousness. We affirm that humankind is always moving towards the highest good for all. We look upon one another with a gaze of love, as God looks upon us, and we see the goodness, the divinity, and the truth of all beings. We give thanks to the source of all love. Let's take a few moments for quiet reflection. As we come back into the room, let's take a few deep breaths and let them out. Take another deep breath and let it out. Thank you, God. Amen. Thank you for spending that time with me today. I think that this is one of the most beautiful things we do in unity, is spend time together in that collective consciousness. Now we're going to move into a special part of our service. We're lucky to have Marty with us again, and he's going to share with us a talk entitled Compassion. Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Brandy. Hello, Happy New Year. It's good to be back with us. So Brandy said my talk title is Compassion, as that was its title yesterday. Today the title is a little bit more elaborate. It's like a new appreciation for compassion. And before I get rolling here, I just want to ask your indulgence. My printer died in the middle of my printing this out, so I'm going to switch to my tablet with smaller type when I get to the pages that didn't print out. And let me also greet the brothers and sisters on Zoom, wherever you are in the country. Good to be with you as well. Well, I celebrated the Christmas holidays in the hospital after I suddenly and unexpectedly came down with a severe case of pneumonia. And that happened just a couple of days after I last spoke here, when I experienced a precipitous drop in my blood oxygen and had to call 911 and get myself to the emergency room. There, they told me immediately they were going to admit me to the hospital as soon as a bed opened up. And for the next 2 weeks, the doctors and nurses took great care of me as they worked to determine exactly what was going on with my body, and so they could apply the most appropriate treatment. I was on heavy-duty oxygen for the first week, and soon enough, the doctors prescribed some powerful antibiotics and then steroids. And slowly these reduced and then eliminated the infection so that I could begin to heal. My body, it turns out, like all of our bodies, knows how to do this without my conscious direction. The medicines cleared out the illness so that it could do what all our bodies are designed to do: live and breathe in a condition of health and vitality. Getting back to optimum health, however, does take time. After 2 weeks in the hospital, during which I lost 25 pounds, my doctor determined that I was sufficiently recovered that I could leave the hospital. However, I was in an extremely weakened state, so I wasn't ready to go home. I still needed help to regain my strength and stamina. So we decided that I should go to a skilled nursing center to work on those. And as a result, I spent another 10 days in rehab, every day getting slightly better, slightly from physical therapy. And then finally, on the 29th of last month, I got to go home. And my younger sister, Therese, who lives in Houston, flew in that morning to help me settle back in. And another friend picked us up at the rehab facility and drove us back to my place. I can't tell you what a blessing it was to walk through my door. Well, that was just over 3 weeks ago. And since then, I've been recovering my health and strength a little bit more every day. I walk a little further and a little longer. I can do more exercises. And I can take on more of the everyday activities I was used to handling before all this happened. And I can come and speak with us. I work with a physical therapist from a home health care company, which also sends a nurse to drop in every week and check on my condition. Now, needless to say, I've been seeing doctors and medical specialists to help determine what caused this serious condition in the first place. And I'm still undergoing various tests whose results can help them diagnose whatever underlying condition I might have that led to the illness. We just don't know. Was it a one-time thing, or is there something in my body that made this pneumonia possible? Now, I share all of this not in a quest for sympathy, but to help us understand how the topic of my talk was inspired by this ordeal. Because this experience has helped me gain a new insight into the power of compassion. So let me see if I can articulate this as clearly as I can, because it's a new vision that's been forming in my mind for the last couple of weeks. Now, it began as I lay in the hospital that first day, essentially helpless. I could do nothing on my own. I couldn't even take in enough oxygen to keep my blood circulating appropriately. And as I became aware of this, I wish I could tell you that my first thought was to turn the golden key, about which I've often spoken here, but that would be untrue. I did not, as the golden key practice advises, move my focus from my predicament and put it instead on God. I did not activate my spiritual training and do those things I have learned to apply to my difficulties. I barely in those first couple of days thought of God at all. All I could do was stay present with my feelings and thoughts. Mostly, I felt scared, frustrated. I felt incredibly weak. And I was quite willing to verbalize this. When nurses or doctors came into my room and asked me how I was feeling, I would just tell them I'm scared, because that was the emotion foremost in my mind and body. Now, I hadn't been through an illness this severe and difficult since my late teens, so we're talking 50 odd years. And as I lay there in that weakened state, I couldn't even see the possibility of recovery. I just felt stuck, as if this was how I would be for the rest of my life, if I were to have much of a life. Because I was also acutely aware that I could die right there in that hospital room. And that possibility frightened me powerfully. And all of it was fear of the unknown haunting me. And as I wrestled with this sense of dread, I felt helpless. I felt out of control. And at the same time, I found that I had enough spiritual maturity to just surrender to these feelings and conclusions. Of course, I had no choice. I couldn't get up and walk home. I had stuff in my arms, I had oxygen going up my nose, so I wasn't going anywhere. But I chose to let go nonetheless. I knew I was in safe hands. I knew I could trust the medical team taking care of me. I knew that I only had to deal with it one day at a time. I knew I could let go and let God. Now, in this state of helplessness, I didn't stay paralyzed. I did, in fact, on the second day I was there, send text messages to families and friends
Did I hear
requesting
your
help in the
phone?
form of prayer
Okay,
and
I'm
contact.
drying my hair,
I
and then I'll be
remembered the
in.
great promise
You're what?
that
Drying
Jesus
my
made,
hair,
that
so
when
I
we
want to
ask,
finish
we
that.
shall receive.
So
That when
just
we knock,
can you
the
stay
door
still
shall be
for a
opened
while, or
unto
do you
us.
need to go to the
And when
bathroom
we
now
seek, we shall find.
immediately?
And so as I asked, people immediately
What?
responded,
Go do
and
what
help
you
began
need
to
to,
show up.
obviously.
Okay.
I don't know who it
Help
was,
came from some of you here.
it would have been.
Someone contacted Silent Unity and put me into their mighty prayer work. Some came to visit and encourage me as I experienced fear and anxiety. Some sent messages of encouragement and care. I had a friend who called me every single day while I was in the hospital and then while I was in the nursing home. My friend Victoria, whom many of you have met, who lives in Costa Rica, happened to be in country, and she was down in the Bay Area, and she came up and visited me 3 or 4 times. And dear Esther came and was willing to witness my pain and struggle with her calming and loving presence. One day you came and I was just so scared, she just sat and held my hand. And it was just very healing. Some brought gifts. Anyone need an extra teddy bear? And some even brought chocolate and other things I wasn't supposed to eat in the hospital. My brother Greg, who lives in Boston, volunteered to be my medical advocate, and he spoke with my doctor every other day to check in on what's going on. So this I came to appreciate was compassion in action. People did whatever they could, and it didn't matter what it was. What mattered was the action, the love, the caring. All of that became and continues to be part of my recovery. One day, Della showed up and brought cards that many of you took time to write your you took the time to write your thoughts about your feelings and for my healing. And I felt the kindness and concern that you poured into those notes, all of which, as I said, are part of my healing therapy. It also helped kickstart a new, deeper sense of compassion. It helped me see that, as I intellectually knew, that nothing was wrong, that being gravely ill was not a failure or a defect. It was just life happening in this particular way. That I felt scared, helpless, depressed was just what I was feeling at the moment. And that was perfect as it was. That I couldn't remember to turn the golden key simply meant nothing more than I couldn't remember it at the time. So what? Well, this experience then has given me a new insight into Eric Butterworth's proclamation, about which I've spoken many times here, that we humans are the eachness of the allness of God. In his great book, Practical Metaphysics, he is quite blunt about how this expresses in our lives. And I want to share again with you and with us some of what he has said about this. He wrote, to practice the presence, so practice the presence of God, is to live constantly as if you believe that the allness of God, the divine potential of wholeness, were present in all of its totality at every point in space, which means in you and in me, in every experience of our life, and in every solid function of the body, That's the practice of the present. Okay, so right there is the heart of the realization. We practice the presence of God when we accept, without hesitation or reservation, that everything in our moment-to-moment experience is God expressing as that particular feeling, thought, or activity. The allness of God, Mr. Butterworth says, is present in all of its totality, in every point of space, which means in you, in me, and in every experience in our lives and every solid function of the body. So gosh, that means that even as I lay frightened, anxious, and helpless last month in that hospital bed, God was expressing in me as fear, anxiety, and helplessness. All of God and God's complete totality was present in those emotions and in whatever I was thinking about them. But I wasn't aware of this at the time. And Mr. Butterworth understands this with great compassion when he says, quote, "Takes a little effort, doesn't it? It's easy to say, oh yes, I'm involved in the practice of the presence. I go sit down on my pillow and have beautiful meditations. And I go back to my work again and go right back to my fears and my anxieties and my difficulties. But I feel good about the fact that I practice the presence." The practice of the presence of God, he says, has very little to do with these few moments when you study truth or you meditate. Obviously, that's a part of it, but it's so much more than that. The practice of the presence means that you do with your life like the practice of medicine is what the doctor does for a living. What do you do? Oh, I practice the presence. Do you? Are you practicing it when you worry? Are you practicing it when you're fuming and fretting because you missed a subway? Are you practicing the presence when you go off to work and you just feel terribly anxious this day because the boss has asked you to come in and have a talk with him at 9 o'clock in the morning? Are you practicing the presence then? Or I might add, am I practicing the presence when I'm so ill I can do nothing but suffer in silence? Back to Mr. Butterworth. He says to practice the presence is to live constantly as if you really believe that the allness of God, the divine potential for wholeness, were present within you with every part and parcel of your life, every concern you have, every experience of your involvement with people, in every solid function of your body, to actually believe it and act as if you believe it. That takes some doing. So when we talk about practical metaphysics, we imply very seriously that there's a lot of practice to be done. Okay, switching over to the and this is where a greater sense of compassion comes in. As Mr. Butterworth realizes, it does take effort. And as humans, we are not always consistent in the discipline necessary to master a new practice, or at least I'm not. And this is not because we are bad or weak or frivolous. It's because we are human, and our nature has not evolved to the point where it's easy to do that which is good for us. Compassion, then, is the willingness to accept our limitations cheerfully, to appreciate that we do not have the power to do everything we would like to do, to admit that our minds are not designed to concentrate completely on any one subject long enough to master it on our first try. And despite any
I'm
and
listening to
everything we find
church, so I'm
defective in
not going to
ourselves,
talk to you, but
we have the power
we go
to
ahead and get
recognize that
up,
this
and I'm
too is
here.
simply God, it's presencing itself as fault-finding thoughts. The deeply hidden source of discontent
No, you
for us
roll over on
humans
your side.
stems from the fact that we know we will, all of
Give
us,
yourself
sooner or
room. You
later
may
die.
need to move over that way a little
Somehow,
bit.
deep in the back of our minds, we have concluded that this is the greatest defect of all, that this failure to live forever is our fault.
I have that exact same
This is the
kind.
ultimate source
Did
of
they give you
self-hatred,
these in the thing, or
opposite
were
of
these yours
compassion.
at home? They're mine.
And it turns
Yeah,
out to
that's
be
the
based
exact
upon a
thing I
complete
do.
delusion,
Okay,
a
you
profound
roll on your
misunderstanding of the nature
side,
of
and then you
reality.
swing your legs
And
down
it's this
first.
misunderstanding that Jesus the
Then
Christ made
push
his
up
mission
and
to
sit up
rectify.
first. Don't get up.
He wants us to
Roll your
understand
leg.
that
Huh?
our notion of death is an illusion.
No, no, you don't.
For example, in the
You
10th
just
chapter of
sit for a
John,
minute, and especially
he
us
tells his
with blood
disciples, quote,
pressure,
"Most
you
certainly
have
I
to get
tell you, I
adapted, and
am the
that's the way
sheep's
you're
door.
supposed to.
All who come
That's the
before
way
me
they
are
taught
thieves
me
and
with my
robbers,
bad
but
back.
the sheep didn't listen to
That's the way
them.
you get out. It's
I am
called
the
the
door.
log roll.
And if
You like to
anyone
log, and
enters
you,
in by me,
and
he
then you
will be
get in
saved
bed the same
and will
way.
go
You
in and
lay
out and find pasture.
Yeah.
The thief only comes to steal, kill, and
Okay, I'll
destroy.
get out of your.
Here's the key sentence. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. I came that they, you, we may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. In the 14th chapter of John, he says to his disciples, if a man loves me, he will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. He who doesn't love me doesn't keep my words. The word which you hear isn't mine, but the Father's who sent me. So when we practice the presence of God, no matter how thoroughly or partially, we demonstrate our love for the divine and for ourselves. And as we do this, the Father and the Christ make their home with us. What a beautiful way of putting it. And in this home, which Jesus also calls the kingdom of heaven, we can relax our self-judgments, and we can let the Father have charge of our daily experience. Jesus identifies the human with the divine, which Eric Butterworth insists we are always experiencing in everything we feel, think, see, believe. There is nothing that is not divine. God is omnipresent, everywhere present, and we have the gift of consciousness by which to know this as reality. So lying in that hospital bed, helpless and afraid, ultimately deepened my appreciation of this truth, although at the time I didn't know that. There is only God. There is only compassion. There is only love. Realizing this as my experience, as our experience, requires only an affirmative yes to accepting that our experience is always God's as well as ours. So today, let us, each of us, give thanks for the fundamental truth that God created us in his image and likeness, that we are nothing but an expression of the infinite divine, the one presence, the one power, the one love that we affirmed at the beginning of our time together today, the one compassion that is the only thing going on in all of reality. I say yes to the God within me. Would you affirm that with me together? I say yes to the God within me. And my friends, let's make this emphatic right now by closing and singing together number 165, God is love. Shall we stand? God is love, that love surrounds me. In that love I safely dwell. 'Tis above, beneath, within me. God is mine, and all is well. God is love, pure love. God is love, sweet love. That love is mine, mine, and all is well. Let's sing all first four verses. God is life, that life surrounds me. 'Tis above, beneath, within me. Life is mine, and all is well. God is life, pure life. God is life, sweet life. That I safely dwell. 'Tis above, beneath, within me. Health is mine, and all is well. God is health, pure health. God is health, sweet health. That health is mine, mine, and all is well. God is peace, that peace surrounds me. In that peace I safely dwell. 'Tis above, beneath, within me. Peace is mine, and all is well. God is peace, pure peace. God is peace, sweet peace. That peace is mine, mine, and all is well.
Thank you so much, Marty. We're going to move into our prosperity offering today. Is Esther going to collect it? Okay, perfect. So let's take our love offering in our hands, whether cash or check or virtually. We know we are giving to partner with God in creating good. So let's say together, I give in love because I love to give. I give in love because I love to give. Thank you for your offerings. Thank you so much, Esther, and thank you, everyone. Marty, would you mind blessing the offering?
Well, on behalf of all of us, so let's all just reach a hand out and bless and acknowledge that these offerings are, again, expression of the eachness of the allness of God sent forth to help all people come to know the indwelling Christ, and knowing the indwelling Christ, that all is well. Thank you, Esther.
All right, let's join together and form a circle, or a semicircle, I guess. And we're going to sing the peace song. And we'll say together the prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us.
The love of God
The power of God protects us.
protects us, and the presence of
Presence
God
of God
watches
over
over us.
us.
Wherever we are,
God
God
is,
is,
and
and
all
all is
is
let's
well.
enjoy the
well.
sunshine behind us all.
That's right.
Well, good luck with your kitty, Kathy.
Well, I'm going to take what Randy said. Murray's true home is part of God. Yeah.